That's all right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for roll call, Kevin Reed is absent. Consent calendar, any comments on the consent calendar? Otherwise, I'm passing it as printed. Okay, on to communications. We have A through J communications. Incorporate them into the minutes, please. All righty. And on the front page. Let me get this. There. Okay, public participation. Anybody want to participate? Seeing nobody. Going on to appointments. Mrs. Martin, an appointment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd like to introduce a resolution 20-28. Resolved that the Monroe Town Council hereby approves the first selectman's appointment of Bert B.J. Hall, Democrat of 1418 Monroe Turnpike, to the Inland Wetlands Commission for a term ending February 24, 2023.
Okay, thank you. And then you'll read the resolution on the bottom eventually, I'm assuming. So do I have a second for the resolution?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mauer. Discussion, Mrs. Martin?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Bert B.J. Hall, Democrat of 1418 Monroe Turnpike. Before retiring in 2018, B.J. spent years managing projects and programs in the corporate business environment in the United States and Europe. He spent his career working in the information technology industry, working extensively as a leader in planning and delivering of technical services, IT consulting, and large-scale project management. A resident of Monroe for 20 years, BJ wants to continue to use his experience and passion for our environment by serving on the Inland Wetlands Commission.
Okay. Any other discussion?
The appointment fills a vacancy created by Jeffrey Shamus.
Okay. So this is the first time we've done it with this format. Mr. Keller, does Mrs. Martin have to read the resolution on the bottom also? Yes.
I think she did.
She did.
Okay, she did? Okay, fine. So we're voting, all in favor? It passes 8-0.
Madam Chair, may I swear in?
Yes, please do.
Jay. Evening. Just raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as a member of the Inland Wetlands Commission to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? I do. Congratulations. Thanks.
Okay, going on to action items, Town Council Committee on Finance, Education, Health, and Public Safety Matters. I went to the health meeting last week. It was interesting, nothing pertaining to the council. So on to B, Town Council Committee on Planning and Zoning, Public Works, and Park and Recreation Matters. Mr. Rooney, anything?
Myself and Ms. Martin are on that board. However, at this point, we have not met. We have not organized a meeting. We need to do that. So I guess we'll all get together shortly and figure out a time to meet,
Okay,
so we can choose leadership and things of that nature.
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Park and Rec will meet next Monday.
Okay. C, Town Council Committee on Legislative and Administrative Matters. Mr. Formicella? Or?
Sure. Councilmember Reed, as chair of LMA, presided over our meeting tonight. We went over all the resolutions here tonight. We discussed them, and they are on the agenda for council's consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on,
Yes.
in addition, at tonight's meeting, we also, under our old business, discussed the blight ordinance. And we are going to ask the town attorney to draft an opinion as to items that might need to be addressed on the blight ordinance to present both to LNA and to council for consensus before drafting language.
Okay, thank you. D, Strategic Planning Committee, Mr. Scott?
Yeah, so First Selectman and I will be meeting sometime next week to discuss some next steps and some of the key projects we're moving forward. And then once we have that lined up, then we'll have the committee get together again.
Okay, thank you. E, EMS Building Committee, Mr. Rooney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, the MS Building Committee is, the building is moving in a positive direction. We have a meeting with P and Z, the next P and Z meeting, I believe it's March 5th, it's the 5th, yeah.
Tuesday's the 3rd.
Yeah, so they'll be meeting and discussing the project in its regards to P and Z. So that's all I have at this point.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. F, Open Space Preservation and Acquisition Committee, Mr. O'Rourke.
We have had one meeting, and our next meeting is scheduled for March 24th, I believe.
Okay. So keep me informed, because it was very interesting, so I'll come to them as the ex officio member. Okay, first Selectmen's update, Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I only have a couple of quick updates to talk about first. One is we discussed at the last meeting the concept of energy pricing agreements. So there were 3 agreements that we've been able to execute since the last meeting. Those are for gasoline, diesel, and number 2, heating oil. You'll see that the pricing for gasoline has gone up about 1.6%. However,
Yeah, there's 2 different ones.
yeah, 2 different.
No, she's asking about Kevin. Like,
Good.
Oh, one for Kevin.
We're all set, thanks.
Gasoline has gone up, but you will notice that diesel and heating oil are both down about 3.5%. These assumptions were what actually were utilized in the preparation of my budget. So so the numbers that are carried forth in all the various departments for these products do reflect these rates. The second item is just to update you on budget meeting schedules since our last meeting. Board of Finance did meet and adopt their initial schedule, which did confirm that they would like to have a joint meeting with council on April 2nd to have that portion of the capital discussion, although I know we're going to be scheduling some other meetings as well, but that would be the joint one with Board of Finance. The departmental workshops have been scheduled as per the request from the last meeting. I also handed out an updated comprehensive budget schedule, which includes those departments kind of plugged in where based upon department head availability and just trying to load balance everything. So we're here about the same amount of time each night. So that is in front of you as well. The only other item I wanted to bring up, which is not on my written update, but I would like to just speak briefly about a long time, over 30-year member of the Monroe Volunteer EMS. I volunteer with that department. As you all know, EMS is a department of the town of Monroe. Marge Brenna was a member for over 30 years. Volunteered as not just an EMT, but a leader on the executive board there, as well as an educator. She taught extensively. If anyone in this town took a CPR class, Marge was probably involved in one way or the other. She was also a member of our Commission on Aging, very involved in the community, and I can tell you without hesitation, she was an extreme benefit to our community. Monroe's better because of her. I would ask that we just observe a moment of silence in remembrance of Marge. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's the extent of my report for tonight.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Kellogg, if I could just indulge a personal Marge Brenna story. Had worked with her for many years. I think I was taking because I had to be certified, taking my 9th CPR certification with her. And I said, somewhat jokingly, but hopefully, Marge, do you think we have to do the whole 18 hours or something like that? You know, I've done this a couple times kind of thing. She just looked me straight in the face and said, you don't think you can learn something? Marge Brennan. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. We're going
Madam
on
Chair,
to,
before we move on, Mr. First Selectman, if I might inquire for, if you could approach the town attorney on an item in preparation for the budget, if we could get an opinion as well as a draft of an advisory question to add to the budget for council's review, as to, in the advisory question being along the lines of, with any no vote, whether the no vote was intended to mean that the budget was too high or the budget was too low. And if we could have the town attorney draft an opinion about adding the advisory question both in pursuant to our statute, to our charter, as well as to the Connecticut general statutes, as well as should he feel that it does fit our charter and general statute, an advisory question for this council to review and then possibly vote on.
you're talking about for the whole budget, not for each department?
Yes, for the budget in its
The
entirety.
referendum question itself. The referendum question itself.
Yeah.
Yep, I will certainly ask him to do that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, so we're going on to new business. A, Resolution 20-29, to consider and act upon a resolution regarding the consent to assignment for the transaction between Fiduciary Investment Advisors, LLC, and DeMayo, Schneider and Associates, LLC. Mr. O'Rourke?
I will introduce the following resolution. Resolved that the resolution regarding consent to assignment of agreement between FIA to DSA and move for its adoption. Resolution 20-9, resolved that Kenneth M. Kellogg, First Selectman of the Town of Monroe, is authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the Town of Monroe the consent to assignment document regarding the Fiduciary Investment Advisors LLC, DeMaio, Schneider and Associates LLC transaction.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Formicella. Okay, discussion, Mr. Kellogg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So,
Before we discuss, just point of clarification, 20-29 on the resolution.
That's what I said.
But the actual resolved was 20-9.
He must, it says 29, he must have just,
Right,
maybe said 9?
just point
Okay.
of, right, 20-29.
Gotcha.
Okay, that might
very
as
good. So, as we have, these items were discussed in both the Pension Committee meeting and the OPEB, or Other Post-Employment Benefits Committee meeting. FIA, you'll recall, we've had their agreements before you in the past. There are municipal advisor services to both of those committees and to those plans. The town was advised that a transaction would occur between FIA and DeMayo, Schneider and Associates, where basically there will be combining companies. The transaction will be a simple assumption of our current agreement. There will be no changes to our fees, to our representatives, or any, nothing that we would deem any negative impacts. In fact, we'll assume that they'll have a much broader bench to support the town of Monroe as well. They have asked for us to provide a consent to that as it is deemed an assignment under the Investment Advisors Act of 1940. So there's a simple request, which is in your package, a simple acknowledgement of a letter and a consent to that assignment of our contract to the new entity, which would be DeMayo, Schneider and Associates. Again, the Pension Committee and OPEB committees both discussed this. There were no objections. The entire package and background is in your packet, and the town attorney has also provided his opinion in this regard.
And I would further say, Mr. Mauer and I are on that pension committee fund, and we went through it very carefully.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this was discussed during LNA and all members indicated their approval.
Okay, any other discussion? Otherwise, we're voting on this resolution. All in favor? Passes 8-0. We're not doing B, but I'll defer to Mr. Kellogg to explain why.
So item B, as you'll note from my memo in the package, I've asked it to be put on the agenda as we were endeavoring to, the town attorney was endeavoring to finish his review in this matter. The package, you do see the referral from the planning and zoning administrator on behalf of the planning and zoning commission regarding the acceptance of the road. However, the town attorney has indicated to me that he was not able to tie up every single item to provide his opinion, so I'd ask that you hold off on this, and we would add it under old business at your next meeting.
Okay. Anyone wish to participate in the second public participation? Seeing no one, I need a motion for adjournment. Do I have someone make a motion for adjournment? Ms. Aguilar, do I have a second? Do we have to vote on this? Terry said second. Do we have to vote?
No.
Passes 8, well, I don't think, but it passes 8-0. Thank you very much. You go and watch football.